All right, everybody, so here at Oshkosh 2022 on a beautiful Saturday morning, and I bumped into a guy that I'm talking to for quite some time on social media and personally on Facebook, and that's James. James, introduce yourself.
Hello everybody, James Fisher. I'm the owner of Swish Projects. It's an Australian company, and we specialise in bringing mostly American aircraft kits, engines, avionics into the Australian market, trying to overcome the freight prices.
Now, James, what do you do as a full-time, your primary job over there?
Okay, so my full-time job, I'm an air traffic controller by trade. I've been doing that for maybe 20 years, and before that I joined the Air Force as a pilot. That didn't go so well. I spent a lot of money to find out I'm a better air traffic controller than I am a pilot. So yeah, that's what I do. I work 3 or 4 days a week in the control tower at the airport, at Melbourne and Essendon and Avalon, different places.
So you've already deeply involved in aviation for some years now.
Oh yeah, I've got a Master's of Science in Aviation, and obviously your flying qualifications and building planes, selling planes, talking about planes, controlling planes. Yeah, I like planes, they're all right.
And what made you decide to bring your passion and love of aviation to Australia in the form of these different brands of aircraft?
Oh, I kind of fell backwards into it, actually. So I melted the internet looking for the sort of plane that I needed for me.
You melted the internet?
I melted it. I killed the internet. If you couldn't log onto your computer about 3 years ago, that was me. And I looked at different types of companies to do what I needed, which was your Zenith 750 style is what I ended up buying. So you can imagine the companies I might have looked at.
Sure.
And in the end, I needed a product that I knew I could build as a first-time builder that would have everything I needed in the box, because it's very expensive to ship to Australia.
Sure it is, yeah.
And it had good community, good logistical support and practical support from the factory and locally. And so I bought a 750 style. And at that time, we didn't have a dealer in Australia, and through my discussions with Michael Hines in Canada, he said, well, do you want to be the dealer in Australia? And I didn't really know what I was getting into. I'll be truthful with you.
I just want to build a kit right now.
Yeah, I just want to, but all right. Well, I'd already had to learn how to import them, how to pay the taxes, I had to learn all of that myself.
Just to get it into the country.
Just to get it in for one plane. And it was a saga, man. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but oh, okay, no worries. So then he sent me a dealer agreement where I get a discount on the kit that I buy, that customers buy, and then Viking, similar sort of thing. Oh, well, we do a lot of Viking engines on Zenith kits. Would you look after our interests in Australia? And sure, I'll do that. And next thing you know, without even meaning to, I had a business.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like if you don't go to the footy club meeting, and you're not there, and they vote you as the treasurer. That's what happened.
Literally an overnight startup.
Yeah, yeah. And I was so lucky to have such great suppliers because they are in demand. People like them.
All right, and so to clarify what you decided to bring into the country, which brands are you representing through Swish?
So Swish Projects, I only really want to find what I believe to be the niche leader for that product. For example, for the bush planes, Zenith, I believe, is the niche leader for a variety, when it comes to value for money and what they do. So I have a customer come to me and say, I'm looking for a seaplane. Oh, all right, so I'll go and research seaplanes. So I have the Aero Adventure Aventuras. This week we shipped 2 from Florida with 5 Viking engines. I have in the ultralights, so I did the Badland ultralight with Chris Dool.
Okay.
Love those little things, little folding wings, single seat, really affordable, really quick to build. They're a ripper little machine, And
so you got some amphibious, an ultralight, and then we'll call it a bush plane or optional bush plane for the Zenith.
And don't forget their 650 for the low wing
cruiser type.
And then the Velocity aircraft as well.
Okay, and that's a new addition.
We've been doing great with the Velocity. I actually thought, maybe because of the entry point and the time it takes to build, there's a lot of interest in the Velocity, especially their V-twin.
Yeah,
really
that twin
popular.
it's a beautiful design for sure.
It's a wonderful looking machine. Yeah, I can't wait to get onto mine. So yeah, it's a beautiful machine. The Velocity V-twin, I think may even have surprised the Velocity people how much interest there's been in that. Yeah.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you not only to kind of promote what you're doing down there in Australia, but just dive into what it's like. What is aviation like in another country, and especially Australia? Surprisingly enough, I look at my analytics of our following, our viewers here, only 50 to 55% is here in the United States, surprisingly to me. The rest of it's all across the globe, and I know a good percentage of that is Australia. So being that you're here, I figured we'd dive in and talk about, again, what is it like to be in aviation in Australia? Where do you guys fly? What is the mindset and stuff like that? So today we're going to dive into that right now. First off, I guess maybe talk about what do you guys do for a license? You call it a private pilot? Do you that kind of stuff? Just kind of roll into that.
That is interesting. So our regulatory regime, if you like, it's very similar, but I actually think we have less restrictions than you do in the US.
Really?
So what happens is...
And what is it called? We have the FAA, you have...
We have the Civil Aviation Safety Authority as our regulator. And then the Civil Aviation Safety
CAA.
Yeah, CASA.
Okay.
CASA, yeah. CAA would be, I think, New Zealand have a CAA, and I think maybe Canada might have a... I'm not sure what Canada have. But we call them our regulator anyway.
Okay.
And CASA have adopted the public policy, if you like. If it's good enough for the FAA, it's good enough for us. So it's good. Saves them a lot of duplication, a lot of work, you know, like... So
copy-paste paperwork.
Basically, just change the header. They just change it, and it makes such great sense because Australia doesn't produce a lot of airplanes. We import them mostly.
Sure.
We got Jabberoos and maybe something else. AAK Hornets they're produced in Australia.
Oh, yeah, that's a beautiful design.
They're not very attractive.
Well, they're very industrial, like purpose-built airplanes. In that way, they're a beautiful aircraft, I think.
Yeah. And I'm a Zenith flyer, so I can't.
Gotcha.
No, but we don't produce that many aircraft, so it makes sense that whatever FAA is doing, we should do that. Okay. So that's basically how it happens. And then additionally, CASA are primarily focused on the fee-paying passenger. So in the case of experimental, where we run our own race, they delegate what is really their responsibility to other groups. And we have our equivalent, I guess, of the EAA, which is the Sports Aircraft Association of Australia.
Okay.
And the SAAA does a lot of CASA's duties, if you like. They've delegated that authority. So volunteers will come out and they will do the inspections. The SAAA take on that responsibility from CASA.
Yeah.
So we don't need to deal with our government regulator directly very often at all.
Yeah.
It's really great. You've got someone local. They send out the technical counsellor and do routine inspections on your job. They'll give you help over the phone with what you need with getting ready for registration. And they sign off on your certificate of registration for you as well.
Okay.
So it's pretty good. Yeah.
And as far as, do you guys have like a typical like a private instrument commercial just like we do?
Yep. Some little differences, like our VFR private pilot license does not automatically include night flying. That's something else you have to go and get.
Okay.
Apart from that, our class A, B, C, D, E airspace rules are identical. We have special VFRs identical. All of the flying rules are the same. Your private pilot license in America is valid in Australia. You can come and fly there, no problems.
Okay. Now we've also got something called a sport pilot license. Do you guys have that as well?
We have something a little bit different, and there's some big differences. That's where most of the changes are, I think. Like, we have no such thing as a 103. There's no way you could let your feet leave the ground without some training and a pilot license, whether it's a paraglider, hang glider, paramotor, there's no such thing.
So no true ultralight over there. You have to get training before you go up.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. We still have ultralights. The aircraft don't change.
Right.
But you just need to be trained to fly them.
So the let's not say bare minimum. The entry level license over there would be a what? What do you call it? Other than a private pilot, do you have
It would
that?
be a sports pilot license.
So you do have a sports pilot license.
We have a sport, and I think that's 20 hours of total flight experience.
Right, that's what it is. Yeah.
And you need to meet some basic levels of competency.
Okay.
And the restrictions are no more than one passenger, I think. But our weight limit is way higher than what you've got. We have virtually no speed restrictions, and weight is 750 kilos, which is about maybe, what would that be, 2,000 pounds for an ultralight.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Which that's more similar to like the UK, I think, in that kind of
it might be.
The European type of thing.
So it's great when I'm talking to Chris with the Badlands, they're limited on a little tiny paramotor engine to fit that 103.
Right,
and I said, no dude, don't worry about any of that. I want
something big on there.
I want 75 horsepower four-stroke, yeah. We're building one now, don't tell anyone. Just as almost like a joke, like people have spent 300,000 or 400,000 on their beautiful big carbon bush plane.
Yeah.
We can just go 1 second, rotate, bang. Like
on the Badlands.
On the Badlands, yeah. The whole thing weighs I don't know,
make
200 pounds.
A mini bush.
Yeah, it's going to be just put the power on, just stand it up. It's just myself and a mate, we're going on it. It'll be fun, it'll be awesome.
That'll be awesome.
Huge expectations for that, yeah. And it really is, it's just to turn up to a show and have a bit of fun, yeah.
Gotcha.
The turn radius of a tennis court.
So what is it like to fly in Australia? I mean, do you guys pretty much just like do around the patch flights, or is there places to land off airport?
We have no such thing as a TFR, for example. You don't have to check the NOTAMs to find out where you can't fly today. We have 7 major cities, I suppose, which would have a control zone to the ground.
So does that mean there's a lot of little grass strips along the way, or not so much?
Not so much, because certainly not publicly available. Like, I have a grass strip on my place. It's about...
He has an entire zoo at his place, by the way.
It's a weird joint. It's fun. Yeah, I've got a wildlife refuge, and we've got a bed and breakfast, and we've got the business there.
You're going to start encroaching on the Australian zoo here soon, and...
Oh no, animals are a lot of work and a lot of fun. They're terrific. Yeah. So I'll often fly along and you can see something that looks like a strip. Normally the first thing you notice is the windsock, or the hangar, and then you see the runway after that, but they're all private property.
Gotcha.
There's plenty of them around. You wouldn't normally fly more than 20 or 30 minutes before you'd see something like that. But when it comes to actual airports, they're a long way between. Like, you can fly 2 hours to the nearest airport. Like, we don't have, it's not like the US where you look at the maps and there's little tiny purple circles just everywhere. We don't have that sort of infrastructure.
So explain then maybe like a typical mission then. If you have fewer airports, is it really just kind of like go out and sightsee maybe a half hour away and then land and that kind of stuff, or do you have more mission in mind when the Rego's flying there?
I don't think we have the same culture of just going for a Sunday evening flight.
Yeah?
It doesn't seem to be the thing to do, really. There are people that do that. That's an ultralight thing for sure.
Okay.
That's, yeah, you might get in your trike or your Badlands.
You got 2 hours of flying.
Yeah, you just cruise around for 45 minutes or an hour. Most of my customers and what I do, they always have something that they particularly want to do. They'll have a beach site they want to get to, or they'll have family living 1,000 miles away they want to go to get to.
So it's more destination based than...
Lots of farmers, especially with the Super Duties, lots and lots of farmers. So at the moment, one of the things I wanted to do while I was at the show was to find a way of using you call them a citizen band radio, your UHF, like 40 channels, a walkie-talkie sort of thing, through your headset. It's not a technology that is off the shelf. It's not something that seems to exist where you can hit COM2 and go from your airband to your UHF. Because my customers, Grant Roberts is one I'm building for now, he needs to speak to 4 or 5 people operating on quad bikes on the ground while he coordinates them getting all his cattle. Like, his farm is maybe the size of some states.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Well, the Australia aircraft kit company with the
Hornet. Hornet style,
A lot of those planes are used for what they call mustering.
Oh yeah, mustering. They wouldn't go above 30 feet the whole day.
And what is mustering, just real quick?
It's scruffing your cattle. Yeah, you just scruffing. They'll all be down.
Australian terms we never use.
Come here, cow.
I think we call it herding your cattle.
Herding. You can call it that. I like scruffing them.
Scruffing them, huh?
No, it is herding as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but you'll have 1 or 2 that'll break away down a valley, and you'll have to go down and either try to use the airframe itself to push them into place, or it's an aerial spotter. You'll have people on horseback or trail bikes, and they'll run down and grab them. And it only takes one crazy cow to run off, and 30 more will think that's a great idea, and that's where the aircraft are great. But
we do like clearing passes sometimes to make sure there's no deer or hog or birds or something like that. You all sometimes have to get the whole ranch involved to clear a runway possibly. Oh
yeah, I have kangaroos on my runway at home a lot.
Right, the roos.
Yeah, and sheep. We got to get the sheep off. Yeah, kangaroos. They're not very smart. They're sweet animals, but they're not very smart. I don't think I want to hit one with my propeller.
No. I'm at the airport a lot more these days editing, and walking out of the FBO, out onto the ramp, it's bright. So I've been wearing my Flying Eyes eyewear a lot more these days. They're lightweight, extremely comfortable, flexible, and have micro-thin temples that slip under your headsets. You like saving money? Get 10% off right now by using the code EXPERIMENTAL. Check out the links below. We are partnering with great companies like Dynon Avionics at Dynon.com, Airtech Coatings at AirTechCoatings.com, Clemens Insurance at ClemensInsurance.net, The Aviators Clinic at AviatorsClinic.com, Diamond Doors at DiamondDoors.com, Flying Eyes at FlyingEyesOptics.com, Foxtrot 95 Calhoun County Airport at
flyfoxtrot95.com. Take a moment to go visit their websites at the links found below in the description of this video. And visit our website at experimentalaircraftchannel.com for events, our video library arranged in easy-to-find playlists on specific topics, affiliate products, aviation merchandise, and so much more.
All right, James, so let's roll into the builder side of things, experimental builders. Obviously, you're supplying kits. What is the culture like down there? Do you guys get together on a regular basis, like once a month, once a week, and discuss tips and tricks on how to build? And is it a pretty lively community?
Around the major urban areas, it certainly is.
Okay.
And I get invited they have drinks at the SAAA Chapter 21 down at Moorabbin Airport. But Moorabbin Airport is a sort of a 2.5 hour drive for me, and they have it at night, so I can't fly back again, so it's hard for me to attend that.
Sure.
There's another one at Calhoun, which is only an hour away. I go to that one a little bit as well. And we do have a good culture between the different manufacturers as well. Like you've heard me speak about, like the Hornet, for example. I didn't buy their product, but that doesn't mean I don't like it or don't like what they do.
Right.
And one of my best friends in Australia is the UL Power rep. So it seems Viking and UL, we shared a booth at the air shows. We all get on really good. And
nice. Just to support aviation, essentially.
We just like what I like my products. He likes his products.
Yeah.
We like what we do. That's just how it is. It doesn't mean that what they're doing is bad or worse. It's different.
Now,
it'll have a better use case probably.
Do you guys have a supplier for some of the little bits and pieces and so forth, like hardware in Australia, or do you have to ship just like I do from like aircraft spruce or wicks or things like that from the US?
A bit of column A and a bit of column B.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will have some, but sometimes you pay for that premium, if you like. So if you're buying in a huge volume, a lot of people will go to aircraft spruce. We've got Sky Shop. Rod Tyson's a good mate of mine. He runs that. We've got aircraft propellers and spares at Moorabbin.
Okay.
They're really good guys. So because of the size of the place, there might only be one or two suppliers. So you'll still end up paying for freight anyway, and they've had to pay to get it to Australia as well. So sometimes it's cheaper and sometimes it's not, but it's always faster.
Now, me as a builder, and I've done some scratch building before, and you try to work like 5, 6, 7 steps ahead, not only because you don't want to mess up the part for the sake of messing it up, but you don't have to buy the part. So for you, being that you don't produce these things, how much more of a pressure is that to not screw up? Because it might be what, 2-3 weeks before you can get, I messed up this skin, I have to go order it from Zenith, and it's going to be 3 weeks.
Our guys are pretty lucky, I think, because if, for example, I have a 650 builder, Ken, he's just bought a 650. When Ken buys one 650, I buy 5.
Okay.
So if something should happen, and we've had this before, the last lot of cruisers, one of my customers broke his windscreen.
Yeah. And
I have another cruiser in stock because he bought one, I buy 5.
So as you go through, you're trying to build up some inventory still to
yeah, we've got a good inventory right now. I've got one cruiser in stock. I've got 2 Aventura HPs, 1 Aventura 2-seater. I've got 4 750 style. I don't know how many Viking engines I've got. I've got one 195 and one 130 pusher and a couple of 130 tractors. I don't know how many, I'd have to check, but yeah, it's because of shipping. Shipping is the big thing. So if one person buys one thing, somewhere out in Australia there's someone else that wants that as well. So all I have to do is sell an investment property and buy a load of stock, and it's sitting there and it's ready to go. In fact, I've probably got the shortest lead time for a Zenith of anyone in the world right now, because if you wanted a 750 style, you can have it when I get home on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Pay the money, it's there. I'll drop it off to you.
Now your guys' seasons are pretty much opposite. Like, we're in summer and you're winter right now, correct?
Yeah,
pretty much. And how does that affect your builds, and how extreme is it? Let's talk about that. Well, how extreme is the weather from summer to winter?
We have a winter and a fire season.
Okay.
That's what we have. And
everything's on fire.
Yeah, everything it is. Yeah, that road's closed today. That town's gone now. I'll have to go another way, Wow. Yeah, it's a bit grim at the moment, but it sounds worse than it is. It's a big country, and you can drive for days and not see anything that's ever been affected by fire. But probably we're not really worried about being cold, really. I live in one of the colder parts of Australia, down in Melbourne, and sometimes, and I'm also at 2,000 feet, so it's a bit cooler there as well, and I'm a long way from the coast. So sometimes it might get below freezing, so 0 Celsius.
Okay.
But you're not working at that time. That's like middle of the night.
Right.
It's pretty comfortable. In summer though, it can get really hot, like 43, 44 degrees Celsius, which I think maybe is 110.
Wow.
Something like that. And you're not going to work on those days either.
No. Okay.
But it's usually a pretty good climate.
But that's pretty much across the whole country. You have that everywhere in that country.
No, because we've got this ginormous desert in the middle, depending upon where you live and what the wind is doing, it can be really cold one night and really hot the next night. It varies a little bit. And then as you go further north, you've got much more humidity. It regulates the temperature better as well. So,
do you feel in the summertime that a lot of people are just building in the dark in their shop? And then, and then the opposite, when it's winter, it's like, I'm out in the sunshine or I'm not working on it right now.
Oh no, we don't have to really modify what we do too much around the temperature, because it's never freezing. Like, not many people would insulate their hangars, and we don't have heaters going or anything like that. No, you just put on an extra jumper or something and work. The cold is not really a big deal for most Australians. It's pretty rare.
Okay.
But the heat would be, I think. Yeah.
All right, so we have several smaller air shows across our country, in the United States. The big one, of course, is Sun and Fun, which is down in Florida, Lakeland. It's usually around April. We're in Oshkosh right now, which is in July. Do you guys have smaller and bigger air shows, or just like one really huge one that everybody goes to?
We have we have like a military one, like this big one at Amberley. They used to have one. They have the F-35s and that sort of stuff. And then the Brisbane Air Show was only on 2 weeks ago. That was a big one as well. The biggest one we have would be the Avalon International Air Show.
Okay. Where's that held?
That's not far from me. That's about 1 hour. In fact, that's the control tower that I work in quite a lot. I work in that tower.
Home base there.
It is. It's not far. It's about 1 hour drive from my place. 25-minute flight. It's not too bad. That's in March. That's held every second year, and I think it's about 4 days. We'll be building a 750 Super Duty there. We're not going to be going for like the 1 week wonder thing. It's just going to be there, and there'll be people working on it. And attendees will be invited to come in and have a look and work on a table.
And does that pretty much encompass all of aviation, including the home belt?
It does, more and more. So I speak with the organisers quite a lot, actually. Part of it's to do with how we're going to run the air traffic control, and part of it is because of the Swish Projects business as well.
Sure.
And they're really supportive. They want more and more experimental. I think it's something that has been left behind in the past. It's a big trade show, like big military, because of where we live in the world.
Yeah.
Any military going into Asia will be there. Like, they're selling rockets and they're selling jets and they're selling all sorts of stuff there.
Yeah.
Then they've got lots of vintage and lots of like show and shine, and it probably has more of a flying display focus actually than even Oshkosh has. All day there's something flying, aerobatics, and
there's one that flies over right now.
Apart from that one.
Yeah. So as far as aviation, and like if I were to come visit Australia, and I hope to come visit Australia one day, I really do. Is there a lot of museums around aviation? What manufacturers do you have? I know there's few, but what supports?
We do have a few museums. We would have nothing. I can't think offhand. So Qantas have a big museum, which I've not yet been to, in a really country area of Queensland, and that'd be a great trip. And the Air Force have their museum then in Point Cook. There's another one at Williamstown, our fighter base. They've got Fighter Town there. There's like a gliding museum. There's nothing like the scale. I think for museums, you'd probably be best in America.
All right, so I kind of just wanted to touch base on the differences of Australia aviation. Is there anything else that I'm missing here that you want to share in your country, in your continent?
We have a always growing experimental side. I think experimental is something that maybe the Australian market didn't really understand, that it was interchangeable to use experimental with ultralight. So people just pictured little microlights cruising around the place. Now that people understand that experimental is actually
real airplanes.
Real airplanes, custom built to exactly what you want. Any size, any speed, any configuration. You can put a jet engine on and make a 50-seater if that's what you want to do.
Is that what you're doing next?
Oh, that's my next project, but keep it quiet. I'm going to make it out of Colorbond steel. It's going to be lovely. That's the latest thing that we're working on, I think, is this 90% done, 90% to go. I'm trying to get past that. And now you can put a Viking engine with a pre-wired electrical panel, have it running in about 5 or 6 days. Dynon and Alyssa can do it in 3. They know what they're doing. If you've never done it, it might take you 5 or 6. So, but we are talking a week.
And you're on social as Swish projects as well?
Yeah, I'm a bit slack with the socials, to be honest.
But you're on there. I saw
I'm on there, yeah.
You make a big deal out of a crate has arrived. A crate has arrived.
Yeah,
you're gonna get
celebration.
Yes.
Oh man, it can take like 2.5 months. Like, because sometimes the suppliers are a bit later than they expect because they're waiting on tyres. That was the latest thing. They're waiting on tyres, and and I don't want to have to then send a box of 31-inch tyres across the country because that's expensive. So we just wait till it's ready and then it comes. So yeah.
Well, thanks for taking a few minutes today.
Thank you very much.
And we'll definitely stay in touch. I'd like to maybe have you share some of what's going on down there, and I can share it across to our subscribers and so forth.
Man, what you do is not as easy as it looks. I'll
fun,
try.
though.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
I'll do
we'll
my
work
best.
at it.
Yeah, I'll make a good video for you. Yeah, we'll make something. Yeah, that'll be good. And thanks everyone for watching.